Hi everyone, my name is Raja HAFIZAH AZNOR BINTI Raja BADRULHISHAM. To begin, let's talk about the major structure that make up the nervous system. First, we have the brain, which is often referred to as the central command center. It processes information, makes decisions, and controls everything we do. Next is the spinal cord, which transmits signals between the brain and the rest of the body. Then, there are the nerves, which form a vast communication network spread throughout the body, making sure every part stays connected. Finally, we have the sensory organs like the eyes, ears, skin, nose, and taste buds. These are our body sensors, constantly picking up information by receiving external stimulation and transmitting these stimuli to the sensory neurons. Nervous system has two main divisions. Firstly, the central nervous system, CNS. This includes the brain and spinal cord. It is the control center that processes information and coordinates all activities in the body. It receives and integrates data to regulate what we do. The second one is the peripheral nervous system, PNS. This division includes cranial and spinal nerves. For your information, we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. That's a lot of connectivity. The PNS works like the messenger, carrying signals to and from the CNS, ensuring smooth communication between the body and the brain. Let's move on to the nerves. Nerves are bundles of neurons connecting the brain and spinal cord to different parts of the body. Tract, on the other hand, is bundle or group of nerve fibers located within the brain or spinal cord. The nerves are like the electrical wires of our body, keeping everything connected. There are two main types of nerve tracts: ascending nerve tracts, which carry signals to the brain, and descending nerve tracts that send signals from the brain to the body. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. We have structures like the ganglion, which are nerve centers made up of clusters of cell bodies located outside the CNS. Then, there's the innervation, which is the supply of nerves to a specific part of the body, ensuring that area can feel and function properly. Next, we have plexus, a network of intercepting nerves. Let's shift our focus to receptors. Receptors are located in sensory organs such as eyes, ears, skin, nose, and taste buds, and they detect external stimuli. When a stimulus, for example, light, sound, or touch, activates a receptor, it creates an impulse. When excited, this impulse transmitted through nerve fibers and neurons to deliver the message to the brain. This is how we are able to feel, hear, smell, and taste the world around us. Next, the reflexes. Reflexes are automatic involuntary responses to changes inside or outside the body. For example, when you touch something hot and instantly pull away your hand, that's a reflex. It happens so quickly because the message doesn't even need to reach the brain first. It is processed by the spinal cord to save time and protect us.
Hi, my name is SYAZLIN ALIA binti Muhammad YUSOF. In this slide, I will present about neurons, neurotransmitter, glial cells, and myelin sheaths. Neurons are the basic cells of the nervous system that allow different parts of the body to communicate with each other. Neuron consists of a cell body, several dendrites, a single axon, and terminal end fibers. Cell body is a control center of the neuron, containing the nucleus and organelles, which it will integrate incoming signal. The dendrites are the rod-like process that receive impulses and conduct them to the cell body. A process is a structure that extends out from the cell body. The axon is a process that conducts impulses away from the nerve cell. Many but not all axons are protected by the myelin sheath, which is a fatty tissue covering. Terminal end fibers are the branching fibers at the end of the axon that lead the nerve impulse from the axon to the synapse. A synapse is a space between two neurons or between a neuron and a receptor organ. Neurotransmitters are chemical substances that make it possible for messages to cross from the synapse of a neuron to the target receptor. So here are the type of neurotransmitter and their functions. First is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is released at some synapse in the spinal cord at a neuromuscular junction. Acetylcholine also influences muscle action. Next is dopamine. Dopamine is released within the brain and plays a role in motivation, pleasure, and muscle movement. An excess of dopamine is associated with a mood and thought disorder and abnormal movement disorder such as Parkinson's disease. Endorphins are naturally occurring substances that are produced by the brain to help relieve pain. Next is norepinephrine. Norepinephrine affects alertness and arousal, increasing blood pressure and heart rate, and releasing stores of glucose in response to stress. It is also a hormone released by the adrenal gland as part of the body's fight-to-flight responses. And lastly is serotonin. Serotonin functions in sleep, hunger, and pleasure recognition, which it is released in the brain, and it is also sometimes linked to the mood disorder. Now we move forward to the glial cells. Glial cells provide support and protection for neurons. It is located in the both central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. It has four main functions, which are to surround neurons and hold them in place, to supply nutrients and oxygen to the neurons, to insulate one neuron from another, and to destroy and remove dead neurons. Next is the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is the protective covering made up of the glial cells. The white sheath covers some part of the spinal cord and the extent of the most peripheral nerves. Gaps in the myelin sheath allows for the faster signal propagation. Now we move to the myelin sheath function. The myelin sheath acts like an insulating layer around the axon of a neuron, which prevents electrical signals from leaking out of the axon and ensuring that the signal remains strong and travels efficiently along the nerve fiber. The myelin sheath allows the electrical impulses to travel faster along the axon than they would in an unmyelinated axon. This is because an electrical signal jumps from one gap in the myelin sheath, called a node of Ranvier, to the next, rather than traveling continuously along the entire length of the axon. This process is known as saltatory conduction.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I am ILYA MAISARAH binti NORAZMAN, and today I will talk about meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and part of the brain, focusing on cerebrum and thalamus. Meninges are the system of membrane that enclose the brain and the spinal cord. The three layers of protective tissue are the dura mater, the arachnoid membrane, and the pia mater. The outermost layer, the dura mater, is tough and durable, offering a strong barrier against physical damage. Beneath it lies the arachnoid mater, a delicate web-like layer that cushions the CNS while allowing fluid to circulate. Finally, we have the pia mater, the innermost layer that clings tightly to the brain and spinal cord. This layer helps deliver nutrients directly to the nervous tissue. Together, these three layers form a strong defense system for the CNS, ensuring it stays safe and functional. Now, we move forward to the next part. Flowing between this protective layer is a clear watering substance called cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. This fluid plays three essential roles. First, it serves as a cushion, absorbing shocks to protect the brain and the spinal cord from injury. Second, it nourishes the CNS by delivering oxygen and nutrients to the tissue. Lastly, it helps with waste removal, clearing out harmful byproducts to keep the brain healthy. CSF is constantly circulating between the brain and the spinal cord, creating a stable and protective environment for CNS to function effectively. Now, let's take a closer look at the brain, the most complex organ in the body and the command center of the CNS. It is divided into several key regions, which are cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus, cerebellum, and brainstem. But today, I will concentrate on the cerebrum and the thalamus. Cerebrum is the largest and the uppermost portion of the brain. Structurally, the cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres connected by a bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. This connection allows the two sides of the brain to communicate. Each hemisphere is further divided into four lobes. The first is the frontal lobe, which is responsible for reasoning, planning, and voluntary movement. The second one is parental lobe, which processes sensory information like touch, pain, and temperature. The third one is the temporal lobe, which is manage memory and auditory processing. And the last one is the occipital lobe, which is primarily responsible for vision. Functionally, the cerebrum is the center of the higher brain activity. It is allow us to think critically, make decisions, interpret sensory input, and control voluntary movement. In the essence, it is what makes us uniquely human. Finally, let's highlight the thalamus. Think of it as the brain's main control hub for sensory signals. Thalamus is a large egg-shaped of grey matter in the D-cephalon and located below the cerebrum. The thalamus serves as a relay station for sensory information, such as sight, sound, and touch, directing it to the appropriate part of the cerebrum for processing. It is also play a key role in maintaining consciousness, keeping us alert and responsive to our surrounding. Without the thalamus, sensory interpretation and reaction will not be possible.
Hello, I'm NATASYA BADRULHISHAM. Today I would like to present about the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, located below the thalamus, is vital for homeostasis. It is several function of the hypothalamus. It regulates the autonomic nervous system to control heart rate, blood pressure, energization, manage hunger and thirst, to maintain energy and water balance, and act as the body thermostat by adjusting temperature. It also governs the endocrine system via the pituitary glands, influencing hormones related to growth, stress, and metabolism, while playing a key role in emotional response and sleep-wake cycles, and ensuring overall balance and stability. Next, about the cerebellum. The cerebellum is the brain's second largest part and located at the back of the brain, beneath the cerebellum and above the brainstem. Its highly folded surface, forming ridge called folia, increased processing power within a compact structure. The outer layer, the cerebellar cortex, is made of grey matter, while the inner white matter, called the arboretum or tree of life, transmits signals between the cortex and deeper nuclei. These nuclei relay information to other brain and body regions. The cerebellum connects to the brainstem to three pairs of nerve tracks, the cerebellar peduncles, which facilitate communication with the rest of the brain. Next, I will present about the brainstem. The brainstem is the stalk-like part of the brain that connects the cerebral hemisphere to the spinal cord. It consists of three main parts, which is midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain at the top is involved in visual and auditory, reflex, motor control, and houses cranial nerve nuclei for eye movement. For pons, serve as a bridge connecting different brain regions, including the cerebellum, and contain nuclei that influence sleep, respiration, and facial expression. For the medulla oblongata, regulates essential autonomic functions like heart rates, blood pressure, and breathing, while controlling reflex such as swallowing and coughing. The spinal cord, a vital part of the central nervous system, transmits signals between the brain and body. Starting at the medulla oblongata, it extends to the first or second lumbar vertebra, tapering into the conus medullaris. Divided into 31 segments, it gives rise to spinal nerve, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal, that control various functions and movement. Protected by the vertebral column, the spinal cord is surrounded by meninges and cushioned by cerebrospinal fluid in the subarachnoid space. It contains grey matter, housing neuron cell bodies, and white matter responsible for signal transmission. Next is about the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system comprises 12 pairs of cranial nerve and 31 pairs of the spinal nerve, connecting the central nervous system to the rest of the body. It includes autonomic sensory and somatic nerve fibers, each with distinct function. Autonomic fibers transmit signals from the autonomic nervous system to the organs and glands, regulating elementary process. Cranial nerve have 12 pairs originating from the underside of the brain, play a crucial role in sensory and motor function. Each nerve, identified by Roman numerals, serve specific functions. For instance, the olfactory and optic nerve are sensory, responsible for smell and vision respectively, and oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens nerve control eye movement, while the trigeminal nerve manages facial sensation and chewing. The facial nerve governs facial expression and taste, and the vestibulocochlear nerve supports hearing and balance. Other than that, the glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve influence taste and swallowing and autonomic function like heart and gastrointestinal activity. The accessories nerve controls neck muscle, and the hypoglossal nerve manages tongue movement, ensuring seamless communication between the brain and body region. The spinal nerve is a key component of the peripheral nervous system, consists of 31 pairs from the spinal cord, enabling communication between the body and the central nervous system. Nerve systems are grouped by their spinal origin: cervical C1, C8, thoracic T1, T12, lumbar L1, L5, and sacral S1, S5. Each spinal nerve contains sensory fibers that carry information like touch, pain, and temperature to the CNS, and motor fibers that transmit signals from the CNS to muscle and glands, facilitating voluntary and involuntary action in specific region. Spinal nerve form pilux, such as the cervical pilux, which control the neck and diaphragm, and the lumbar and the sacral pilux, which innervate the lower back, pelvis, and legs, which the sciatic nerve being the largest.